Okay, everyone. Well, thanks very much for joining us on Purps TV today. We're starting with a living legend, myself, but also our football and living legend, which is Kevin Ellison, who's joined us at City Liverpool FC from Rylands, but obviously he's got a massive previous pro and semi-pro career. And so, as part of a new series, we're going to be talking to lots of the current squad and getting to know them a bit better, and probably delving back in with some of the older squad as well, and some of the lads who we call legends at the club who've won a lot of things for us and were with us from the start, and talk to them as well. So we start today with Kevin Ellison. So welcome, Kevin, to Purple Legends.
Cheers, Chairman. Pleasure to be on.
Well, what a story. It goes back your football career from 1996, according to Wikipedia, but I want to go back even further than that, if you don't mind, and start with real family background, like where you were born, where you lived, what school you went to, etc., etc. So why don't you run us through that, Kev? Where are you from?
Yeah, I grew up in Anfield, not far the Stockbreck Road, with my mum and dad. Obviously, I had two sisters, and as I got older, 18, my mum had a little boy when I was 18, do you know what I mean? And you can imagine the stories of my aunties saying, like, I still live at home and my mum and dad are next door.
You had a little brother?
Well, I've got a little brother. He's 25 now, I think 26. But yeah, I grew up just off Breck Road there, by Breckfield School at the time. Breckfield was there. It's now North Liverpool Academy. But I went to Our Lady Immaculate, which is the top of Everton Hills, junior school, and then senior school, I ended up going to Campion, which was Prince Edward Street, just off Grady there. But as again, obviously with my age, that school's gone now. It's totally gone. Do you know what I mean? There's a little primary school on there now, but yeah. I tell people what schools you go to, and they don't even know where it is. You're going to speak to the older people to know where it goes. Do you know what I mean? But that's to say, for me, it's like I've got two sisters, one brother, and I grew up in Anfield, literally off Breck Road.
Yeah. It's interesting you talk about Campion like that, Kev. When in my early days of playing football, look at them. There's my son as well. Goodbye, everyone. I used to play with a couple of lads who went to Campion, and Campion at that time was a big, well-renowned football school. They always had a brilliant team in the Liverpool Cups and all that. You know, it was always a very difficult place to go and try and get a win or whatever. So, skipping Breckfield for a moment, or Our Lady Immaculate, what was it like at Campion then as a football school?
We were good. We had, on paper, obviously had Ryan Lowe. He's in the same year as me. He grew up near me, obviously hangs around together.
Mad coincidence, let me tell you, but go on.
And see, that was the whole reason. My mum and myself was like, my mum was a bit pushy into football and my dad was, but it was more my mum going like, go to Campion. All my family, I've got a big family in Anfield, and they all went to Breckfield at the time, all similar age as me, but never played footy. And my mum and myself obviously was like, no, we'll go to Campion. It's got a good footy team. And obviously, Billy Kenny, obviously, is a family relation. He went there. You've got your Mac Manamans went there. You've got your James Kellys. He was like, you get Lee Pryors. You've got loads of footballers who come from there. And so for me, it was like, I wanted to go there because obviously going there, you can got a better chance of going to the school boys and to get picked up, basically. Do you know what I mean? So that's the whole reason why I went there. And we had a good team on paper, but I think we were individuals, should I say, my year. Definitely a gang of individuals.
Trying to impress.
Definitely.
Trying to impress individually rather than as a team sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the way it was. And as I say, I think if we'd work together, because you win nothing alone, do you? It's a team game, do you know what I mean? But it's like, as you say, we had like Lee Fairlong, who went on to play for Southport and that. You had obviously Lowy. We had a good team, a very good team. But as I say, we just couldn't click. We were all superstars in our own right, and not a team. Not a team.
Ryan Lowe's a big pub. I don't know whether you know that, or well, when I say a big pub, he frequents the pubs and has been with us for an awful lot of games, to be honest. And talking about my team when I was growing up, which is a team of Bovis in Nedley. I'm from Ayton, but they used to play in Nedley. And his dad, Tony Lowe, was a big friend of my dad's, and all of his family, all the Lowes, were banging to football, weren't they? And obviously Ryan got the most success throughout his career and great, but he's regularly at Perb's games, so you never know, you might bump into him at some point.
Yeah, I still speak to him quite regular. I know his son and a few of his mates were going a few years back when he first started up, and I don't know whether he goes much now. I think Alfie goes and watches his dad Preston a lot more now. He's changed his colours, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, that happens. Just while we're on that point there, a few years back, I mean, when were you first aware of City Liverpool FC? Is it just now since you've sort of come out?
No, it was a couple of years ago. Obviously, because I come from non-league, I played non-league and I played Sunday League for the Seymour back then. So for me, my background, I've always been a non-league lad, and people say to me, "Oh, why do you want to play non-league?" And that, but it's like that's where I got my chance, and that's where I love playing football. So if it means next year I drop down another level to continue to play somewhere, I would do. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's me, and it's always been in me in park football and such and that. So for me, obviously, I learned about the Perbs a good few years ago when obviously you had the Neverton that there. He had a game, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? And you see obviously John McGrath and little Jack. They started out there. So for me, it's like I've always kept a close eye on the non-league teams local because I'm thinking one day, eventually, hopefully I'll be able to play on the doorstep. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it is.
Well, I mean, amazingly, but when we first started the club, we had to start with a big public meeting, and I won't name him, but a big, well-known local person in professional football came along to the meeting and said, now this is 2015, Kev, he said, no one in Liverpool wants semi-pro football to watch, you know, players use it as a step ladder and go up and sometimes come back down, but no one wants semi-pro football in Liverpool. And we were just determined to do it. So we did it, we got off and started it. But it is interesting that at that time, attendances around non-league here were very, very poor, you know, 100, 150. The Sunday leagues with big games could still attract 300-400. But non-league really was sort of a bit of it wasn't a spectator sport, shall we say. And I think giving ourselves a little bit of credit, not myself personally, but giving our club credit, we do feel as though we've lit a fire under the local non-league scene because we brought supporters straight away. We instantly started with big numbers of supporters, 500, 600, 700, you know, a lot of weeks. And that seems to have awoken a lot of clubs up into then they're now achieving those numbers. We're not getting them now, funnily enough. We're on a bit of a downscale, but a lot of the other clubs sort of woke up about it. So it's nice to know that people were listening and looking and watching, listening for the Perbs. So, Campion, good team, lots of good players, national schools, etc., etc. Were you playing Saturday and Sunday football then, or when did you start playing Saturday adult football?
Yeah. I was playing for a team called Winchester, which is a pub down Lower Breck by, obviously towards the ground, you know what I mean? Yeah. I played for Winchester then with Dave and Albie, and I'll never forget them. I was probably, 8 or 9 when I first started the team. So when you look at that at this day and age, it's very old, isn't it? You've got kids going to the academies and pre-academies and stuff, do you know what I mean? So for me, it was like, we used to train on Stanley Park. It was a mixture of lads from like Upper Breck where I was from, and then lads from like Priory and Anfield School back at the time, do you know what I mean? But there was some great lads and we had a good little team and we were always like first or second, there's always win a cup, do you know what I mean? The Brunel probably might have pipped us back then. They had a good set of lads, but for me, like when I look back now, I was like 8. It's pretty old to start playing football, innit? And I look back now and think, wonder if I started at 4, would I still be playing now?
That's it. But then you don't get medial injuries or anything like that. You're at 4. It's mostly fun, but it's interesting. I mean, it's like school, isn't it? It's a very, very early age to start playing competitive football. I know they say it's non-competitive, these 4 years and 5-year-old kids and everything, but
it is for the parents, isn't it? It's very competitive for the parents. That's what was me head. And I used to go and watch my lads, and my lads started playing for little Finn Harps, one of the lads in the school in West Derby set up, one of the parents, and from like 4 or 5, they went right through to like 13, 14, and then they started fading away as they got a bit older than that. But I used to go and he used to ask me to help and that, and it was like, I wanted to go and just step back as a parent and watch him play, do you know what I mean? I weren't one standing on the line going, do this, do that. And don't get me wrong, I've done a few coaching sessions for them and took training bits here and there, but I always took a back step and just let him play and enjoy it, do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about at the end of the day, and that's why I'm probably still playing now, because I enjoy it. And as much as like you see it now, as parents are so pushy with the kids and all want them to be the next Rooney, they're going to make me this, going to buy me this house. And to be fair, it's like, madness. I think it's no point 9% of so many million make it. Do you know what I mean? It's like
you are talking my language, mate. I've been saying this for years. In Britain, there's only 2,500 professional footballers at any one time. 92 clubs, you know, plus a few non-league clubs, plus Scotland, plus Wales. There's virtually no professional footballers, and so, of those places, some of them are foreign people as well. The chances of your kid getting through and becoming a professional footballer in this country is what you've just said, nothing.
You might as well go and buy a lottery ticket. Do you know what I mean? It is, and it's like, as you just said then, it's like, as I've got older, the more and more foreign lads come over, so they push the good kids from the academies at Liverpool, Everton's and that, they'll push them to the Tramiers players that get pushed down to the non-league again. Do you know what I mean? There's a knock-on effect, and as much as, yeah, it's great, it's like the Premier League, this and that, it's for homegrown talent and stuff. There's not much, and as you say, the percentage, this small percentage of actually that get through to make it a pro, it's like, it's hard.
Yeah, but some parents don't seem to notice it. Some coaches don't seem to notice it as well. I mean, I'm not a big fan of junior football coaches as well, but that's another story before I get shot. But pushing these kids, you see these kids out in, you know, freezing cold wind and rain and sleet and snow, and they're like 6 or 7. It's like, just let them be at home for a bit.
Yeah. That's what happens. And they take, sometimes it's like, they take the social skills away from the kids. You know what I mean? It's like footy. Like my little lad, a couple of years ago, was at Burnley, signed 2 years, and I just obviously split up with his mum then, and I come home one Friday, he's crying saying, "Dad, I don't want to go," and I'm like, "What's up, mate?" He went, "I don't like it." But I think it was because he'd gone from like a big fish in a little pond with a Saturday team and a Sunday team. He'd gone there, changed position, and he weren't the best in the squad. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously he was at Burnley in the Prem then, signed 2 years, and after a couple of weeks I had to ring them up and say, "Listen, he doesn't want to go no more, he doesn't fancy it." And they're like, "What?" I was like, "He doesn't want to go." And they're like, "What do you mean? It's without a Premier League club." And then I had my mum push me, going, "You got to push him, lads. I pushed you." And I was like, "Mum, he's come home crying. He doesn't want to go." So he's like gone from playing on the Xbox, playing out with his mates, playing footy with his mates,
being great at football.
Yeah, to 7 days a week. Yeah. He was like up and down like the Northwest doing futsals on a Saturday morning, back up to Burnley Sunday morning, down to Stoke. And you're like, he just come home was upset. And I was like, "Sam, mate, no worries." So I had to fight with Burnley at the end. It took me 6 weeks to get his registration back to go and play grassroots footy. And they were like, "There's no way he's going back to grassroots." I was like, "I promise you he's going back to grassroots. I'll sign it for him." I had to sign a bit of paper.
Blackburn or something, did they?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They thought he'd been tapped up, but I had to sign a bit of paper to say he was going to go back. And his grassroots team weren't even the best in life. They weren't the best team. It was just all his mates that he grew up with. And he enjoyed playing there. And he's obviously a bit of a star. And he plays with a smile on his face.
And so he eventually succeeded, and is that what he did? Was that Warner Colts, was it, without naming names? Well, I did name a name then, but was it Warner?
No, it was Finn Harps, it was.
Oh, Finn Harps, right.
Finn Harps, yeah.
So back to you, sorry. Winchester, youth football, you played, you done that. When did you start playing sort of adulty type Saturday, Sunday football or anything of that nature?
I had a few games as I was getting older. Stephen Gerrard's dad and all the Heighton set up Denburn. Yeah. And I ended up playing for them, obviously, with loads of the Heighton lads. And you had me and Lowy had a few games on Eaton, next by Eaton Road Police Station on the Springfield Park. Yeah. We had a little league there, so obviously we had a good little team. Obviously, it was a mix of like Cardline and lads. And then we had me and Lowy had a little few games for there. So in the end, one of my uncles run Turpin's, the pub, which is on the end of my road by mine. Yeah, so I was probably 14, 15 playing in the Zingari League, was it back then?
Yeah.
So playing a bit of men's footy on a Saturday afternoon. Then on a Sunday, I'd play for the Canada, which was under 18s at the time. Nice. We changed from the Winchester. It's like as you get older, you notice all the teams split up and some of them can't field the team. So he was like, which was like 4 or 5 teams that merged together for Tony Graham under the Canada. So we played there for the under 8. It was like under 16s, under 17s, under 18s. But over Saturday, I'd play men's footy for Turpin's back then. So with it being Turpin's, you had, as well as like, I had mates who were playing who were a little bit older. I had cousins who were played. So it was like playing with my mates and my family in the garden, really. Do you know what I mean? That's what it was like. And I was 14, 15, scoring goals, and I loved it because I was playing against men.
Yeah. So playing up 4 years, even for the Canada, but actually playing against men.
On a Saturday afternoon, yeah, the Zingari League.
Yeah, so softened you up there. So, according to Wikipedia, Southport are the first club that signed you on sort of semi-pro things. So, how did that come about, or who were you playing for then when Southport came and seen you and scouted you?
I was playing every Sunday for Canada, and obviously for the Saturday League in the Zingari. And I went and think Ronnie Moore was the manager at the time, and I went there and I played 3 games in a week, and it was like one of them was Welling away, a bank holiday at home, and then he's like, come in, I'll pay you, give you some money for your expenses and that.
How old are you, Kev, at this point? Sorry.
16, 17.
Go on.
So probably, 17, just 17 I was, because I remember driving. So 17, and I played 3 games in a week. I done all right. Obviously, it was a step up from the Zingari in the conference. And he said, come in and I'll give you some money. I went in there, played 3 games in a week. And I know back then, there were lads on a good few £100, which back in the 90s, early 2000s, was an awful lot. So I went in, and he's like, yeah, here's an envelope. So I was like, oh, buzzing, first pay packet from, obviously, Putty.
Yeah.
Come away, give me £30 expenses. Cost me more getting up there all week. But that's what I'm saying. I laugh now, but it was like, I was playing for free. I had to play for free. Do you know what I mean? Because I love it. Do you know what I mean? So for that, it's like, but that was my first thing. It was under, and then, as I say, we'll come up to it in a bit. I've come across Ronnie Moore again a couple of times in my career after that. So when I left, obviously Southport, I ended up having a few games, going back to Sunday League and started playing for the Seymour regular on a Sunday. Right. And then, obviously, on the Dockers Club, Chorley come in, asked me to go to Chorley for a bit. So I ended up going to play for Chorley then. I think it might have been like
Chorley there. Yeah.
A Conference North or something, like a bit lower than that, Wayne, at the time.
Well, the pyramid was a lot smaller then, wasn't it?
It was.
They amalgamated it later.
Stick North or something, stuff like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of leagues now.
Yeah. So was Southport then the conference, was he? And Chorley was Evo Stick North or non-league North or something like that?
Yeah. It was obviously Southport in the conference. What was it called? Not the Vanarama, no. The Vauxhall Conference, it was called.
Conference. That's how old you are.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I remember it now, the sub-coats and all that, and the manager's coat had the big Vauxhall badge on the back. Right. Vauxhall Conference it was. Yeah. That's how long ago it was.
Bloody hell. 1996. So then, 97, you're back playing on the Dockers Club. Chorley come in, you go and have a few games with Chorley, 4 according to Wikipedia. And then next up is Conway. 37 appearances and 7 goals. So talk us a bit about the Welsh League.
I ended up going over the Welsh League. Stan Allen it was. I think obviously back in the day, he used to get a lot of non-league managers coming to watch the older, obviously the Seymours and that. And Stan Allen, his name was, who took me over to Conway. So when I got over there, I ended up playing left wing back. Never played there in my life, and ended up playing left wing back over there. But we had a good team. You had like Tobo, who runs the Brit. You had Mark Phillips. You had Carl Fairlong. You had Terence Brown come for a few games. So we had a good team, but it was like we used to call ourselves the Car Robbers 11 because that's what we were like. We was just full of Scousers. Do you know what I mean?
Over there, yeah.
You had the 1 or 2 Welsh lads from the local football over there, but the rest of them was just Scousers. So I went over there. I always remember we played Cardiff in the Welsh Cup one night on telly, and looking back at when it was Cardiff, it was like Robert Earnshaw and all that played.
Proper side, yeah.
At the old ground, Ninian Park as well. Proper horrible. Get coffee through over me. Everything. It was disgusting there. Do you know what I mean? But it built me and it made me. I enjoyed it, and as I say, I stayed there for a season and a bit, didn't I? Over in the Welsh League, and I enjoyed it. We had a boss team, good little setup, and good lads.
Yeah. Talk about that then. Ninian Park, Cardiff, horrible place. You go down and play in a cup. Was that the beginning of your sort of being able to deal with crowds, do you think, or earlier than that? When did you start, as you do now, interacting with people who abuse you from the crowd? Was it that early, or was it later, or what?
No, it was later than that. I was probably a bit timid back then, worried and saying stuff back. But then, as I got a bit older, another few years down the line, and the stuff and the shit that, pardon my language, gets shouted at you. And to be fair, I'll take banter, and there's a line, isn't there? I can take certain things, and there's some of the horrible stuff that I've been called in the past and that, and it's like, even about family and illnesses and this and that. And it's like, I'll take banter all day long, but when they start, it gets a bit personal.
Yeah.
That's when I start, like, I get me back up a little bit, you know what I mean? But I've always had a little laugh and a joke with them, and I always go for the ones who seem to be a bit louder, and I'll annihilate them and just have them off in front of people, do you know what I mean? And then the rest of them start around them.
Yeah,
and then they're laughing at it. It's part of football, and when that goes, I think that's when I know I'm ready to finish, because if I don't, like, even on Saturday, I've seen a little video from the Perth TV there, and it was quite funny because I didn't bump into him as I was playing. I turned around, someone shouted something, and I was ready to give them some abuse. And it was the assistant manager and manager from Altrincham back in 2000. Do you know what I mean? His lad actually played centre half for Linnets.
Go away.
So I was like, oh, bloody hell, I haven't seen you. So I started talking, and there was this other older guy giving me loads of crap. And I was like, oh, you get bullied at home, mate? Is that why you come and shout at the big bald nose one? Yeah. And just having a little bit of a laugh and a joke, you know what I mean? They all liked it, and it's like, but that's me, and it's always been me. And for, as I say, the first couple of years at Southport and Chorley, I probably didn't give enough back, where I got hot coffee threw at me, got all kinds. Ninian Park got it with like a Lucasade bottle back then, do you know what I mean? It's like, but now if it happens, I'll pick it up and have a little bit of a laugh and a joke with it, do you know what I mean? I just wish, like, I grew a bit of balls, should I say, back then.
You're still young, you're still learning, you know, give yourself a bit of a chance, like. But do you think, Kevin, it's quite interesting to me to think about this, like, do you think that spurs you on in a game? Or do you know it spurs you on? Yeah. I
honestly do, yeah. And yeah, I've had, like, obviously, I only joined social media a couple of years ago. Beforehand, though, it was like, the fans used to realise that, like, I used to hear them say, don't get on him, because as soon as you get on him, he scores against us, or he rallies off, and I honestly, I believe it does. And for whatever reason, it shouldn't, but it gives you a bit more extra motivation. And I don't know why, but I always seem, when I get so much shit off fans and that, I always seem to live up to them, make them eat the words. Do you know what I mean? And I love it, me, and it, as I say, because it gives me that little bit more incentive, which it shouldn't have been a professional footballer at the time. It shouldn't have, but for whatever reason, it always did, and it always backfired against them. Do you know what I mean? For the shit I've got, like, off them all, it's like, it always backfires, and like, I'll read, someone will send me stuff afterwards going, look what he's putting to go. We told you not to have a go, because once you have a go, he gets us back up, and then look what he's done to us today. So, but it's football, isn't it?
It's football, but I mean, there is a line to cross, and it has been crossed a couple of times this season, not just involving yourself. So, well, we won't slag anyone off, but there's banter, and there's funny banter, and there's unfunny banter, and then there's just pure evil obnoxiousness, which I can't stand listening to be honest. But credit to you for using it to your benefit and enjoying it. It seems like you enjoy it and use it.
Yeah, I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Do you know what I mean? And I'd like, even when I spoke about my mental health, and I spoke out about that, and like, I had fans that go, oh, Kevin, I was like, no, please don't stop giving me shit, because this is what I love. When you stop that, I probably end up worse, but I thrive off it, so don't stop. Because if I see you, I'll still call you whatever, do you know what I mean? And it was just like, I had loads reaching out at the time, and he was all like, oh, Kevin, I'm sorry I said this to you. I was like, mate, I don't give a shit. That's what I love. That's what I like. I said, but if I see you again, I'm going to give you, so don't feel sorry for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Has it ever gone too far, as in non-verbal? Has anyone ever got over the boards to you, or have you ever gone over the pitch hoardings to them, or anything like that?
No, not really, because like, I know I can hold myself back, and I know when I've got up someone's nostrils. Do you know what I mean? For me, I know when to stop. And don't get me wrong, I've said stuff that probably I shouldn't have said, but at the same time, it's like, I've never come like into contact with anyone or not. Do you know what I mean? The worst I've probably had, like, say, coffees. I remember playing for Stockport as Chef. We had Chef Wed at home at Edgley Park, back in the old championship, and some gobshite, you could smoke at grounds back then. That's how long ago it was. So I had to stump a ciggy out on my arm. And as I picked down to get the ball for a throw in, and he's bent over like that. I've seen him straight away, and I was like, you give him a mouthful. Do you know what I mean? But that's probably the closest that comes to a bit of contact regarding obviously some banter stuff gone wrong.
Yeah. Okay, though. Well, Conway, 37 games, 7 goals. Good return. You start banging them in there, and then that leads to Altrincham, 99 to 2001, 51 appearances, 23 goals. So it's goal a game, and I presume Altringham's the conference, always been a conference team.
Yeah, it was. As I say, when I left, I was playing left wing back for Conway. I ended up going to Altrincham with Harry McNally was mates with. Do you remember Harry McNally? He's like a legend at Chester.
I know McNally, yeah.
And he was mates with Stan Allen, so I don't know where, but somewhere along the line they've made a few quid on me. They've made a few quid on me, brought me to Altrincham. They just got promoted back into the conference that season, and played there. There's a few scouts. Obviously, Mark Maddox, who's got multi-neuron disease now. He was I still speak to his family to this day. He was one who looked after me back then, and used to travel in with him. And obviously, when I went to Altrincham, as I say, they got back in the conference then. We ended up getting relegated that season, but I played left midfield. I think I scored 14 or 15 goals that season from left midfield, which at the time, there was still 3 or 4 big teams in the conference who were full-time then, where you look at the conference now, everyone's full-time. Back then, we were still a part-time. So
it was just the clubs coming down out the Football League with pro
yeah,
and if you could get
exactly, yeah. So for me, I'd gone there, and as a football club, we got relegated. But for me personally, I had a good season, like 15 goals from left midfield, which was quite good for me first at that level. Like,
listen, you get that from your centre forward. You're not over the moon, but you know it's a decent return for like a centre forward, isn't it? 15. He hasn't quite hit 20, but he all right. So to get it from left midfield is a fantastic return. Is that arriving at the back post a lot of times? Or?
Yeah, it's just I just think I found myself. Don't get me wrong, I scored a few worldies back then as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I had a knack of being in the right place at the right time, as you see on the Linus game. Do you know what I mean?
Can't coach that either, can you? That's
what I'm saying. It's like, and as much as like as I got older, people go, I know now I don't have to run around as much as like I probably used to run around, burning so much energy like an headless chicken back when I was a bit younger. But as I've got older, it's only with experience that you seem to be in the right place, or you know where it's going to land. Where
you let the game come to you.
Defo, and where even 10 years ago, I'd have probably still been running around like a knobhead and being a nearly man of, no, nearly got on it. Where as I've got a bit older now and you realising as long as you, as well as saving like a bit of energy, I seem to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Well, can you be in the right place at the right time a bit more for us, please?
I'm open to. Yeah, I just need to get more fit now. That's it.
Well, after Altrincham, the next big thing, Leicester coming for you. I mean, and your debuts at Man United, unbelievable. What's the story? Go on, fill us in on all of that.
Yeah, well, let's go back to when obviously I was at Altrincham. We got relegated and we ended up which is the Conference North now. It was like the Evo Stick Prem, I think, back then. And I always remember it. We were warming up at Droylsden, and one of our coaches said to me, Leeds, West Ham, Leicester and that are here watching you today. I was like, really? I said, why have you told me that now? Do you know what I mean? So in the game, warmed up, in the game, I've jumped up for an header, landed, and I've landed on my knee awkward. My knee just swelled up, and I was like, oh shit, what have I done here? And it was bad. So obviously after that, ended up going to Verzakli. Also, always remember it. They drained my knee. In the end, Altrincham paid for me. I had like a bit of an ACL problem, and I tore it a little bit. Not obviously as bad as what happens nowadays, but I damaged it. So I was out for a few months, and from the day I come off that thing, Leicester kept ringing Altrincham, when's he back fit? Can we take him in training when he's back fit? Can I do this? And they were like, yeah, just let's get him fit. So I was out for a couple of months. Ended up coming back on a Saturday. Played Spennymoor, I think it was. I scored up there at Spennymoor, and then on the Monday, it was arranged that I go down to Leicester for 2 weeks with the goalkeeper at Altrincham then. Stewie Coburn, he's like Altrincham legend. He's not long retired, a couple of years back. And ends up going down to Leicester for a Monday, Friday, home for the weekend, and then a Monday, Friday again. But the second week into it, as a trial, they basically said, like, listen, we want to sign you. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah, want to sign you. So I've gone from delivering furniture for a shop on Breck Road, playing part-time footy, to signing for a team in the Prem. But this was like, back in 2000s, it was obviously, I had Roberto Mancini. He played for us. Robbie Savage, Muzzy is it? And some of the lads say, well, who played then? It was like, I'm trying to tell them, it's like, people say, Savage used to just run around and kick people. He did, but he was also technically unbelievable.
Yeah. So you've got to be having it in the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, I laugh now because like Roberto Mancini, obviously Italy legend, went on to Man City and all that. And it's like, these lads are like, you played with him? I was like, how old are you? I was like, yeah. He was like, couldn't speak English. I played with him, do you know what I mean? So you had like Jerry Taggart, Matt Elliott, unbelievable team, do you know what I mean? Steve Guppy, he's another one who think like is unbelievable. He's like, for me, when I first went there, I was 20, just turned 21 in the February, yeah. So, but he was the first one I ever seen with like 2 bags of balls after the finished training. He'd go out, just cross the ball, continuously just crossing. And I'm like, wow. And now when I look back, I think, oh my God, what he actually did. You know what I mean? None of the others done extra. Might have been in the gym lifting a few weights like Akinbaye and all that. But for the first one to actually do a bit extra out of his own.
That was Guppy.
Yeah, it was Steve Guppy. And it explains, and like you look at him now and you think, he had an unbelievable career. Left foot was a joke. Honest, could put a ball on a twopence. Honest, unbelievable.
Did he go anywhere after Leicester? I remember him. I do remember him playing in the Premier League for Leicester, but I mean, I don't remember him doing anything after it. But I might be.
No, I don't think he did. You know, I think he's like back in the day. Then I think once you finished at the top and stuff like that, just retire, wouldn't he? Where you would like you fall down the leagues now, don't they? Some of them because they still love playing. Do you know what I mean? I don't think like back then it was like they used to eat what they wanted. Like even after the game on the bus, it's like I used to see them drinking on the bus where it was unheard of. Do you know what I mean? You're just like. But that's the way it was then. Now you go to the Premier League, I bet you they don't open a can of fizzy drink on the bus afterwards.
No chance. No, it's all controlled, isn't it? So go on. You go down. You're on a trial with Leicester. Do you want to keep you?
Want to keep me? I ends up my agent coming in. I had an agent back at the time because I was in between of me playing part time for Chorley and Southport. I had a few games for Everton reserves. So while I was there, me and Lowy played for Everton reserves because obviously they were short on pros and that. And they asked us, obviously, they followed us Sunday footy and stuff. And Lowy was banging goals for the Sandon and that. And I was playing for the Seymour. So we ended up having a few games there. And then next thing, an agent tapped me up. I'll give you these boots, give you that. We could do this. But obviously, I hate agents. Agents are shit. And they take so much money out of clubs and away from people. It's like, now, only that I'm sat here with experience, I would never, ever recommend anyone to have anyone. No. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, agents might see this and think, but I'm not really bothered.
That was an agent cutting your screen off then.
I know, my phone's just been... it'll go off now, I think. Let's get back there.
No, you're on sideways now, Kev. There you go. There you are.
Go on. Yeah. Sorry, yes, so an agent, obviously Peter Mack, got in touch with me and said, like, we'll represent you this and that, and we'll sort stuff out. But they didn't. It's like, if you're going to get a move, you get it as a player. An agent's not going to get you a move. No. If you're good enough, you'll get picked up. That's it. So I went down. Peter Taylor was the manager then, which Peter Taylor was also the England manager at the time. Yeah.
He's been a great footballer himself.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He played, but I come across him again further down my line when I went to Bradford. So, but he was an out-and-out winger, and I played on the wing. So for me, his coaching sessions were unbelievable. Man management, not the best, but coaching, his sessions were unbelievable. And so he called me in, and obviously I went in with my agent. He's like, listen, here's what it is. We'll give you, at the time, I think it was $650. Bearing in mind, I was probably getting more playing part-time and working then. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, Sam, take it, no problem. The agent's like, well, he's not taking that. I was like, what? So I was like, what do you mean you're not taking it? He's like, no, he wants more. And I was like, no, I want to take that. I'd have gone for pennies, you know what I mean? Just to, like, because I wanted to be a pro. And that was every boy's dream. Used to watch Match of the Day. You want to be a pro. So, agent, Peter Taylor, can you just send your agent out? Can I just have a word with you, Kev? And I was like, yeah, no worries. So the agent got sent out the room. He's like, listen, this is what we're offering. This is what most 20, 21, 20-year-olds are on. Even the lads who were playing for England at the time, you'd have like, this is the wages. If you want to go and check with the PFA, this is the average wage across the board. This is what you get and take it or leave it. And I was like, yeah, I want it. He said, well, tell your agent to do one. So next thing, my agents come in and he's like, listen, my agent's like, no, he's not taking that. He's like, they went, okay, it's 50 quid more, take it or leave it. Do you want to go back on to delivering furniture? And I just looked at him, I was like, nah, I'll take it. And my agent's just like, looking at me to say, just hang fire, because there's other clubs. I was like, nah, I just want to be a pro footballer. And it was always my dream, do you know what I mean? I had clubs, Blackpool, your Wrexhams, at the time, when I was writing for them to trials, like 15, 16, nah, you're not good enough. And then obviously I've gone from non-league to sign the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So people take it like, say, oh, you only played once. I don't care. I've made it. It's like, I went to the Premier League and all in all, I probably got about 12 minutes at Old Trafford. So there's me gone to Old Trafford. Both in the Premier League, then it was like, I think it was 67,000.
Just hang on a sec. Before you get to Old Trafford, tell me what happened with the agents after you said, no, I'm staying. I'm taking it.
No, he just, he was like, well, I can get you a bit more and this and that. I was like, no, listen, I'm happy with that. Just, I don't want to basically cock the deal up. That's where we're at. He's like, okay. So it all got sorted in the end. And so I still stayed with him. I still had him for a few years after that, do you know what I mean? But like, as I got older, I started like mid-20s, started doing my own deals because you know your worth and you know what it's about. And I've never been one for like, oh, well, I want X amount or I'm not playing and this and that. It's like, I've always had a steady wage. Don't get me wrong, not stupid, but I've always had a steady wage longer. And it's probably why I'm playing, because people think, oh, Kev Ellison, he's probably been on this year. And it's like, you hear all these talks of pros on this and that. And it's like, I know lads who were playing at Morecambe in League Two with me a couple of years ago. They were on £140 a week. Lucky for them, they was like 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, still living at home, had cars. Insurance is a lot dearer. It's like, you look at it now and think, how can you afford that in this day and age? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because like,
but that's where we were at. Though, aren't they? That's what
I'm saying. They was just hoping that maybe they could kick on from there. And I get them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but at the same time, it's like, if my lad now, he's obviously goes to the Gerrard Academy and he wants to go to America to do a scholarship now. And I'm like, go ahead. His mum doesn't want him to go. She wants him to go and get it saved. But I said, listen, if you go there and you don't like it, you can always come home. Don't miss the chance of going.
Yeah. Just hear me like Tom. Go on.
Yeah, I've always said to him, go there. If you don't like it, you can always come home. So there's nothing to worry about. Do you know what I mean? But then it's a life experience for him. But as I say, yet there was lads on £140 playing in League Two at the time. And it's like, people just think, you're a pro footballer, you're in X amount, you've got this. And don't get me wrong, I've had a good life off it, I've had holidays, but there was always a day that when football finishes, pro football finishes, I'll have to go to work again. And that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. So go on, Old Trafford.
So go to Old Trafford, I get named on.
What about training in the week, in the leading up to it? Tell us the story.
To be fair, right, it's a mad one because leading up to it, obviously, we used to like have Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday train, and then there'd be a game on a Saturday. So leading into that, I was there for a few weeks and I'd be in the squads and I'd get there and then I'd be left out because of one of the young lads. The young lads are always left out the squads, but it was good just to go, like, obviously, to the likes of Derby at the time. I remember I used to love King Clancy. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Georgian.
Yeah.
I used to love him. And I used to I told Andy Impey, who played for Leicester at the time, obviously, we used to sit by together on the bus and travel in. He's obviously knew where it was from and all that. And he's like, he was the first one to ever get me King Clancy's top. He's like, who's your favourite player? He was like, probably King Clancy, I'd love him. The way I watch him, like, I was watching him on Match of the Day like a couple of weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? I'm in the same stadium as now. Yeah. And he's like, go on, no worries. So next thing, gets on the bus, gives me his top.
Oh, that's nice.
So I was like, boss. But these are lads who, like, he was a Londoner, proper Cockney, Impey. And I can buy even, they paid £5 million for him at the time. Peter Taylor got slated, do you know what I mean? But he was like, that's where if you see a few of my goals and my celebrations where it tends to take me top off, it all come from him because, like, he was filtered a couple of years ago. I still had a little chat to him, still spoke to him, do you know what I mean? Still used to, like, he had friends up here who he mingled with and he took me under his wing in a way, do you know what I mean? And looked after me where you're a bit timid going into the dressing room, especially in the Premier League. And they looked after me. So come back to the week leading up to that is I end up on the Friday, I used to load my car up to come back home. I used to live in an hotel the first couple of weeks. So I used to load my car up. So I'd load my car up on the Friday morning, get my stuff after training, throw it in the car, ready to go. So as I was going out to my car, I was getting on the motorway on the way home. So the assistant manager went, the gaffer wants you. I was like, oh, shit, what have I done? So I thought I'd done something wrong, do you know what I mean? Because he'd been on me because...
Were you a bad lad or were you a good lad?
No, I was a good lad because I come from non-league. I was trying to play with little knocks and dead legs and that here and there. And I played one game, I'll never forget it. And we had, I think it was against Notts Forest Reserves. And I come off after about 60 minutes with my leg, my ankle. And he's like, what's up with you? I said, to be fair, Gaff, I was feeling it yesterday and the day before. He went, well, you're not at a fucking dog and duck club now. You don't play injured at this level. I'm telling you now. And he absolutely slaughtered me. And from that day, it just stuck in my head. So I was thinking, oh, what have I done now? So I'm going to get in my car, and as I say, the assistant manager shouts me. So I go back in, he's like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm just going home, Gaff. He's like, no, you're in the squad tomorrow. I said, what? He's like, no, you're travelling, Man U tomorrow. We're travelling in a minute. Get your stuff. And I was like, really? So I started getting a bit of a panic on, being nervous. Then I was like, oh, okay, sound. So went back to my car.
How old are you in 2001, by the way?
What was I? 21? 21 wasn't I? I was born 79. So I think I was 21 when I played it.
22, yeah.
Yeah, 21 I think I was. And so got in the car, got my stuff out, made a quick call to my dad. He's like, Dad, said, you won't believe it. He's like, what? I said, I'm in the squad tomorrow. He's like, what, are you going to be on the bench? I was like, I don't know, but I'm travelling up with the squad. Like, he said, all right, make sure you get tickets then, because me, like, obviously, me mum and my uncle ends up going, do you know what I mean? So, ends up staying in Salford Keys in a hotel there, and then get to the ground. Gaffer names, obviously, the team, names the subs. I'm on the subs bench. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I knew my mum and that were there. So I'm like, oh, no. So, walk out, warming up on there. I'll never forget it, because as I'm warming up, the ball goes off the pitch and goes by the dugout. So as I go down there, some fellas, as I bent down, some fellas tapped me on the head, turned round, and it was one of the lads I used to play for Conway with, Gary Lloyd. He's passed away now. He was like an agent at Bury and all that. He fell down the stairs, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. God bless him. And fatal, just died, fell down the stairs. And he was only young. He must have been early 40s then, if that.
Terrible.
So I'll never forget it, because as I bent down, it's like, who's tapped me? It was him. I played like, it was only 14 months earlier that I was playing in the same team as him. Do you know what I mean? And it was frightening. So next thing, warming up, both sets of fans stand up if you're 8 Scousers. So I'm there as a Leicester player. You got the Leicester fans, and obviously you know what the Man U fans like. Stand up if you're 8 Scousers. Every song was about Scousers. I think I was the only Scouser apart from my parents who were in the ground. Do you know what I mean? And even the Leicester fans were joining in. They were like, what's going on here? So, next thing is, I think there's about 8 minutes left or something. He's like, are you ready? I look around, and obviously you had Steve Guppy on the bench. You had Trevor Benjamin, who paid like 1.5 million for from Cambridge.
Yeah.
He was like, what? It must have been 5 or 6 regular lads who'd played regularly, like in the start 11, on the bench with me. So he turns around, he's like, are you ready? And I'm looking, I go like that. Turn around. He's like, no, are you fucking ready? And I was like, he went, no, you, Kev, are you ready? I was like, oh, shit. So next thing, I always remember, because like for days afterwards, one of the lads who was on the bench said, mate, if I could have got a picture of your face when he said, are you ready to come on? He
but
said,
you were looking behind you.
The colour of boiled shite, he said, you know what I mean? But it was like, so obviously I come on, and at the time, I speak now and tell people, it's like, Man U at the time, they were world champions, European champions, Premier League winners. You know, I come on, I played against Jack Stam and that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, the team that they had out, it was probably not their strongest team. Beckham weren't playing it on, but you had like Roy Keane, Scholes, you had York up front. Do you know what I mean? They had Sylvester. They had an unbelievable team, and it's like, I'll never ever, like, that's one thing. It's like, I dreamt of playing
a game like that. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Just a chance. And like, when you're growing up and you get knockback after knockback, you're 14, you're 15, you're 16. I had teams like non-league teams tell me at 16 I wasn't good enough. And then 2 years later, kicked on a bit, and then kicked on. It was like within 4 years from a team in like League Two, the old 4th division probably back then, telling me I'm no good enough to playing in the Premier League, to having a run around on Match of the Day.
But when you tell us about the 6, you could probably recite the 6 minutes. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'll never forget it, because Scholes played, and I think he had like 1 or 2 touches, because like obviously they were unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? It was just like press, couldn't get near them, press, couldn't get near them. I remember half coming near Scholes, and I come through the back of him and knocked him on the floor. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether it was like, I tried to pick him up for a nice way. If I'd done it to someone now, I'd probably just push their head down further into the mud, do you know what I mean? But because obviously I come from non-league, and I watch these week in, week out on the telly, I think I showed them a bit too much respect, do you know what I mean? Because I was on the same pitch as him, and when I look at it now, I think I should have just left another 6 studs on him.
Yeah. Well, you picked him up. What did he say anything to you?
No, he didn't say no. He just had a little smirk, you know what I mean? But I was just like, there you go. Welcome to the real world, you know what I mean?
And so, where were you on the pitch there? Were you on left wing back or left mid?
Come on, up front.
Up front.
So I'll always remember it because there was a picture the next day in the, I don't know what paper it was. It might have been whatever paper it was. It definitely wasn't the Sun or that. Or, do you know what I mean? But the next day, there's a picture of me and Yap standing next to each other. So I've got it in my mum somewhere.
That's the one, yeah.
Everyone says I look like him anyway, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we have a resemblance, but like, it's just one of those things that I'll never, ever forget, and nobody can take away from me, whether they said, you're a shit footballer, you robbed a living for 25 years or whatever. I made it, and I made my dream come true. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an unbelievable story, isn't it? On so many levels. But obviously, the sort of the Rocky story. You know, you come from nothing and you've made it onto the pitch at Old Trafford when they were treble winners and everything else that they were. I mean, we go there as supporters, and you're like, there's a hatred. But to actually get on the pitch and play against those type of players at that period of time, that's just unbelievable. Not only can no one take it away from you, there's very, very, very few people from Liverpool, and I'm talking very few people from Liverpool, who can honestly say they've ever done it. And the others are like Carragher and Gerrard, you know, and one or two minor ones like that. But you've done it, mate. You got on the fucking pitch and played against Man United. It's incredible. You could have scored, like, that would have rounded the story off, wouldn't it? You know, not to downgrade your achievement.
If it scored, though, probably would have ended up at the Perps today, do you know what I mean? It's a little patch that happened, innit?
You'd be on Sky News now, wouldn't you? Yeah. Well, brilliant. What a story. So, finish. I tell you what we'll do, Kev. We'll just stop it here for now, and then we'll get a little drink or a little toilet break or whatever, and we'll come back in 2 minutes. Is that all right, mate?
Yeah, no worries, Sam, mate. No worries.
I'll stop this recording. If I can. Pause recording. So, unbelievable. What happened next? So, I mean, that's the big question. What happened next? You're on the pitch at Old Trafford. Don't know what they were expecting of you. Peter Taylor's the manager. What comes next?
I don't know. He just said go on there and enjoy it. You know what I mean? So, as I say, I ran around. I've probably got about 12 minutes all in all with injury time. But I'll never forget, obviously, because my dad and that come the game, and I weren't planning on being even in the squad on the Friday when I said my car was loaded up. I had to leave my car down there. So after the game, I had to end up running from the ground to meet my mum and dad to get a lift home. Nice. Do you know what I mean? So imagine that now you got like Suarez or you got your Gerrard playing at Old Trafford and then running down. It with all the fans though, the Man U fans running down in like obviously Leicester tracksuit at the time and going to meet my mum and dad where they parked the car to come home. Do you know what I mean? I always remember going out the night after the Saturday night. It was on Bow Street. It used to be called the VR bar. We used to go in there. We used to have Match of the Day on. It was actually on in there, and I was in there with my mates. At the time, Match of the Day come on, and there it was. My substitution come on the telly.
Fucking hell.
The 17th, I think it was 17th of March 2001.
St. Paddy's Day.
So it's just like one of those, and he's just like, but as I say, no one can ever take that. And just in a way, you know, like I've had so many knockbacks and so many people tell you not good enough, and then just to do that, not to prove them wrong, but just to prove yourself right. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I say to the kids now, I come across the younger generation, say to them, listen, because even like some of them who play part-time now, they get good money. So I'm like, listen, if you don't make it full-time pro, you can always, like, the non-league scene now is unbelievable. What some of the lads are getting at Wrexham and that, you know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, don't let it, like, and it should spur you on to want to, not to prove them wrong, but give you a little kick up the backside to want to go again and kick on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's called, I shouldn't really use the word on this because people will watch this, but it's a fuck you attitude. And our club as a whole, sorry to take it off you, Kev, but our club as a whole is like that. When we first talked about, mentioned before, someone saying no one wants non-league in Liverpool, and we were just like, well, we're doing it. And the North West Counties League said, no, you're not coming in the league. And we went, yes, we are. And the FA said, you're not doing it. And we just went, yes, we are. And you've got to have that in life, not just in football, but in life generally. Otherwise, you just get sampled down, don't you? If you haven't got your own belief and your own strength to keep going, And to be you in life, or in this case in our club, it was other people as well, or a lot of us, to just say, keep going, you've got to do it. And that's what you've had. And it's a fuck you attitude.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at it now, though, it's like, I can't believe, like...
Keep talking, Kevin.
Then you're saying about, obviously, that people didn't want it. It's like, it gives kids a chance. It's good for the communities. You've got the little hub there. Just a lot for the community. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just don't see why. And you see other like communities down in London with the non-league teams, and they all do a lot for the country. Like, but we've never had nothing really.
No, it wasn't like that then. No, non-league clubs in our area, as I say, it was pretty sort of stagnant. There was a team in the conference, Southport. There was a team in the NPL Prem, Marine. Team in the North in NPL Division 1, Prescott. Team in the County League, Bootle. And they didn't really move, did they? They were all...
No, just
everyone knew their place, sort of thing. And that's not a criticism of any of those clubs, because I know how hard it is. But it was just like, it was a bit stagnant, it was. And clubs weren't community clubs then. They didn't have this pathway from the really younger teams right the way through up into the under-18s or the under-21s or whatever, and possibly into the first team. It just didn't happen. So... it was just different. We don't criticise the fella who said it. He was probably right. It was low attendances at the time, 100s, 150s. No one did want it, but we did change it. But from our perspective, we just wouldn't take no for an answer when we were starting. It was literally as honest as I say. You're not doing it. Well, we are actually. No, you're not. Well, no, we are. And we took it in the end all the way to an FA appeal back at Wembley. We've been to Wembley. We've been told no, you're not joining the league. And we appealed it, and we went back in on appeal and won. And we got in then into the Northwest County League, but no one wanted us. County FA, no, I could mention it all. Nobody supported us at all. So there we are. We did it. But that's what I'm talking about, and you just touched on it as well. You've got to have that kind of attitude to get on.
Yeah, definitely. That's just the only way of moving forward in life, innit? Because if we all live like that, it's like, oh, no one says these say not doing it. Well, where would you go? Yeah. What do you know what I mean? You don't know what you can reach. And it's like, what's to say, like, the club in years to come isn't going to end up in a football league when no one wants it, you know what I mean? It's like, these are things, little small things that eventually you got to build on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, enough, that was about us for a minute then, but it was talking about the attitude that you're talking about. Don't ever don't take no for an answer, and just keep going. If it's what you want, keep going.
Yeah, if you work hard enough, you'll get it, do you know what I mean? Definitely. And it's like you showed, and it's like I showed, it's like, it's there if you want it.
Yeah. And maybe it's a Scouse attribute as well. You've got to make your own way. It's a tough city, isn't it? There's lots of tough cities in the country, but it's a tough city, and no one gives you anything. You've got to earn it and make it happen for yourself. So you come off from Man United, you go home, you're watching yourself on Match of the Day in a bar on Bowl Street with your mates that night. Go back to Leicester. What? Because there's only according to Wikipedia, there's only the one appearance at Leicester.
Yeah, I was sub at another 2 games here or there, but it's like, that was my only one appearance. It's like, after that, when I joined, obviously Peter Taylor had come under a bit of stick for signing Akinbaye for 5.5 million at the time, which is an awful lot of money. And they were in a bit of they were struggling a little bit. And obviously they haven't brought me in to score goals. They was thinking of one for the future. But after a couple of months there, Peter Taylor ended up getting sacked, and Dave Bassett and Mickey Adams come in. Right. And they just hated the young lads. It was like we weren't allowed to train with the first team. It was like, if you play 70 Premier League games, no, okay, take your hats off. Couldn't wear gloves. You had to wear shorts. And it'd be like, you train in the morning, every afternoon he'd run you. And you're like, oh my God, is this what it's about? And he'd sign, like, they end up signing like loads of old, like Alan Rodgers ended up coming, who was a Scouse lad, but the rest of them, they signed Dennis Wise when I was there. It was just, they were signing the older lads.
To try and struggling near the bottom of the league, were they?
Yeah, so they were signing the experienced lads to try and keep them afloat in the Prem, do you know what I mean, at the time. Yeah. So the younger lads just got like, never got a sniff then. And I always remember driving home from training one day, Dave Bassett rang me. And I was like, hello, Gaffer. And he's like, Kev had Stockport on. Do you want to go to Stockport? And I was like, well, not really, no. And he's like, well, they've come on for you. Stockport was in like Division 1 then, which is the old championship. And he was like, well, they've come in for you. You want to go see if it's up to you. Do you want to go and train with them for a couple of days, see if you like? I was like, all right, go on then. Because I got the gist, he didn't want me there, do you know what I mean? So I ended up coming back up northwest, trained with Stockport for a few days, see what it was like. And as I say, they promised me, oh, you'll play every week and this and that. And I'd come from non-league, so in the space of that, I'd be like playing in like the Championship, which is the old Division 1.
Yeah.
That massive jump, and like Stockport at the time, getting like what, 8,000 fans probably, and you had Man City were in the league, Bolton were in the league. So for me, it was like, yeah, go on, I'll move back home. This is perfect for me, obviously, at the time. Yeah. I had a missus, been with her for a couple of years at the time, no kids, but been with her, and it was just, I was just glad. Obviously, I'd gone from like a madhouse in Anfield where all my aunties and uncles had come from like school time of a morning, they'll be there till midnight, and I'd gone to Leicester living in a 3-bedroom on my own, could hear a pin drop, and it was like, when I look back now, I think, nah, for me, I feel sorry for like the lads who come over from Ireland. I've got friends who come over from Ireland at 14 and 15, and you think, fucking hell, you come over, you're playing a footy, what are you worried about? But now, as I get older, and I've realised, I think, I had like, my parents were like 2.5 hours away. Their parents are like flights away, and you think, how do they cope? Do you know, you can see why some of them struggle massively, and it's like, for me, I was just glad to get back in that car and get up back to Liverpool, do you know what I mean?
So that's what you did. Did you go on loan at first, or?
No, I was signed. They paid, paid the fee for me at the time. I don't know, it was an undisclosed fee. So I ended up signing for them in 2001 and ended up staying there for 3 or 4 years, I think. I had a good time there. It was, Carl Palmer was there at the time. I had a few injuries, but I think the injuries came with me being non-league mentality. I didn't used to eat right. Didn't like, there was a little bit of a drinking culture at the club, should I say. Not that I'm a heavy drinker, but I used to want, because I come from non-league, I wanted to be around the pros, so I'd go out with them. So we'd be going out like Saturday nights, Tuesday nights. Like the norm, that was like in the old days, that was when they used to go out after games. But it's like, for when I look at it now, for me to go out on a Saturday night and a Tuesday night after the game, I couldn't never dream that takes me about a week to recover now. Do you know what I mean? But back then it was like, that's the thing to do to fit in to be a footballer. It was like,
but you're probably hating yourself. You're probably hating yourself.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I weren't eating right. Where now it's like, I look at it and think, I don't live with regrets, but it's just, there's things where you think, do you know what? If I would have looked after myself a bit better there, if it was like down to recoveries and what I do now, I do an awful lot more now at this age than I did when I was 21.
The players step forward.
That's what I mean. Is it because you think you can get away with it, or is it just with experience that you learn more? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, as I say, you don't live with regrets, but
different
with that,
times,
it's like
different times as well. Look, Kev, you're playing at a time then where that was the norm. You know, there's a corporate saying, isn't it? You can't know what you don't know. You didn't know at the time. There wasn't a whole culture like there is now around recovery and health and fitness. Back then, everyone went to boozer, drank. Yeah.
It's like fish and chips on a Friday after training. You're like, if someone offered me fish and chips now on a Friday, my bird offered me that, I'd throw it out the house.
Yeah. And you got a game in the morning.
Chicken pasta. Do you know what I mean? That's where you're at.
Yeah, so you can't really look back and blame, or even if you do think about it, blame yourself in any way for that. That was just the culture you were in as a young player involved in at the time. There's nothing really there. But you played 48 times for Stockport. You scored twice. Do you remember the 2 goals?
Yeah, I think one was Paul Fail, I think. And
bit of a derby.
Yeah, one was Paul Fail, and where was the other one? Oh Christ, it's been that long ago. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's with that I was there for I think it was 3 seasons. It ends up being or something like that. And it's like
2004 you finished there, yeah.
Yeah, and for injury wise, it was like, as I say, going back to that, it was like I was always breaking down with little muscle injuries, and I honestly think it was my body just getting used to full-time football. I'd gone from, at the time, being a delivery driver, 3-piece suites, wardrobes, training part-time, to going full-time football. And when I say like the Premier League one was a joke, it was like, it was harder, the training at the Championship at Stockport. And my body just couldn't get used to it. When I look back now, it weren't like, because I'm one of those, I'll dig in and I'll see someone off. It's like, he might be quicker than me, but give me another mile or two and I'll guarantee I'll catch it. Because I'll just dig in. Where back then, I don't think my body was right for that. I honestly believe it just kept breaking down. Like, it weren't like massive like knee injuries and this and that. It was silly muscle injuries, calves, hamstrings, quads, and I'm like, it was just, I honestly believe now when I read up, it's like my diet didn't help the way my body needed to perform. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the reason I honestly believe I broke down loads of muscle injuries, because training was, I've gone from, as I say, Sunday league footy to the delivery driver to full-time football daily.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So it says it, and again, Wikipedia is not always right, but in 2004 you went to Lincoln City on loan, 13 appearances. That's while you're still signed with Stockport. And what happened at Lincoln, if anything, to report, or was it just...
no, to be fair, it's like Stockport, they got rid of Carlton Palmer, Sammy McElroy come in, and being a Manc, basically, I don't think he liked the Scousers, do you know what I mean? I know he's Northern Irish, but he was a Manc, he's a Man United legend.
Manc, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he took a license to Scousers. I was starting to grow into my boots, you see. I was getting a bit chirpy, as you do, and a bit of a laugh and a joke, and I don't think he liked that. So, his first game, I fractured my jaw. I fell under some lad's foot, and as he's gone toppled over me, as he's tried to get out, his back of his heels just caught me as I'm on the floor. So I ended up being wired up for 6 weeks with a big metal thing on, eating through a straw. Back in the day, that's what you had to do. And it was like, so I got back fit and couldn't get in the team. And Lincoln come in for me, said like, what, because my contract was coming to the end, what's your plans? He's like, do you want to come on loan? We've got loads of non-league lads here. It was Keith Alexander at the time. And for the previous 5 or 6 years, they've been in the playoffs in League Two, got to the final and lost every time. It was at Millennium then, because it was the old ground, because Wembley got knocked down. And he said, do you fancy coming here? So I ended up going there. And I ended up getting to the playoff semi-final with them. We ended up getting beat off Huddersfield. They had a good team, Huddersfield, back then. It was like Andy Bood up front, played for Chef Wed in the Prem and that. But I'll never forget it. We got beat. And it was over 2-leg semi-final. We beat them at our place and lost. It was like away goals then. But they scored an away goal. So we drew at their place. And they went through on away goals somehow. And I remember when the final whistle went, I just hold my hand, fell on the ground. And next thing, I felt something hit me on the chest. As I've looked up, there's a fan, because the pitch, I didn't know there was going to be a pitch invasion being the set, because obviously it's only like a year before I was playing non-league. Pitch invasion, one of their fans has stamped on my chest running across. So I've obviously stood up, put my radar on him, followed him, chased him, ran after him. I chinned him, didn't I? So next thing, all their fans are trying to get down the tunnel to fight me, because obviously one of their fans. So a couple of weeks later, it was on Sky Sports and all that. A couple of weeks later, Huddersfield manager's ringing me. Peter Jackson, it was at the time. Kev, I'd already, in the meantime, agreed to sign for Chester. Chester had just been promoted from the conference into the Football League under Mark Wright. So I'd agreed to sign for them. So he said, hello, Kev, Peter Jackson here. Huddersfield's like, oh, hello, Peter, how are you? And quick one. Before it goes any further, if you don't sign for me today, I'm going to send this videotape from Sky Sports to the police. When you chin one of our fans, and we're like, I haven't chinned one of your fans. He's like, don't be lying. You've seen it on the telly because it's going round. And I was like, I never. He's like, well, if you don't sign for me, it's going to go to the police, like this videotape. I was like, listen, I'm awful sorry. Like, proper panic. I'm like, I'm awful sorry, but I've agreed to sign for Chester. Like, I've done a pre-contract. He's like, you shitbag, this and that. And that's a bit of a laugh and a joke in the end, do you know what I mean? But so I enjoyed my time at Lincoln. They had like a lot of non-league lads who played like around Manchester non-league. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So they had, when I went there, the team spirit was unbelievable. All non-league lads who put together, technically, probably weren't the best. Apart from, you had like Gary Taylor-Fletcher, who went on to play for Blackpool in the Prem. He come from like Norwich. They signed him from Northwich. So you had like a lot of lads there who willing to work hard, but no real superstars, but a good togetherness. And for year after year, I think for 7 years, they got to the playoff final and lost 6 times in 3 years before me. And then after I left, they continued to get there. So that's what happened there. It was just, they offered me a good contract. And when I went back, it's a funny story, because when I ended up signing for Chester, we only got the first league game of the season, didn't we? So I ended up scoring a free kick down there. And I was getting so much shit all game. Money grabbing bastard, you scouts cunt, you sign for money.
Well, hang on, because I'm getting back to that actually. By this point, have you hit this abuse stage yet? Has this already been happening for you? And
I think this was the start of the first one, I think. So I was like, obviously, away, first game of the season, Lincoln away. I played for them the season before on loan. Got off the offer to sign me, offered me more money than Chester, but again, Lincoln was hours away. Yeah. And it was like, it wasn't worth it. And obviously, I'd lived here. So fans don't get that. They just think, I went to Chester, they pay you X amount. Believe me, they offered me over a month, probably 600 quid more, 500, 600 quid more, which over a month's an awful lot, isn't it?
That's a mortgage at least, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but it's like, it weren't right for me. Just where it was located, and that just wasn't right. So I ended up playing for Chester, signing for Chester, played the first game of the season, scored a free kick. So their bank stand, the big stand across the far side from the dugout, giving me so much abuse all game. You money grabbing scouts, cunt, you this, you that. Obviously, you can imagine the shit they shouted being a scouser. And I scored, just ran down the wing, back all across the stands with a cup of me ear. Obviously, bottles. Next thing, bottles threw at me. This, that. Thought nothing of it. Afterwards, all tried to get to me and all that. All calmed down. Monday morning, let it off the FA. £1,000 fine, 3-game ban. For what? Inciting crowd trouble. I got done for. But yet they was calling me Scouts bastard. They was singing about Hillsborough. Do you know, the stuff, that's what I'm saying. It's like where I get like, I can have bands that call me Scouts bastard, call me Big Nose, call me whatever. Do you know what I mean? But when it starts going like family illnesses and then they start shouting about Hillsborough and all stuff like that, and you're just like, there's no need for it.
No, that's not banter, is it?
Hence, that's what I'm saying. So hence why I got me back up. Yeah. And celebrated in front of
all you did was celebrate, a bit provocative, like, but you know, you're back at your old pub, it happens.
So I got done off the FA, obviously £1,000 fine and 3-game ban for inciting crowd trouble, with a future £5,000 fine and another 6-game ban. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So to be fair, it was like 7 years later before I received another one of them. Like,
yeah, you had to behave yourself then for 6 years. Again, a little parallel with City Liverpool. We had a big load of trouble at Morecambe. Funnily, was it Morecambe or Fleetwood? Wherever we played the big final anyway, in our first season, there was a fair bit of trouble. Police come, blah, blah, blah. We got all our money took off us, all our prize money. And exactly what you've just said, a big fine and told in no uncertain terms, if this happens again in the next, I think we have got a 3-year suspended sentence. You know, I can't even remember what the threat was, but it was massive. Yeah, you're out. You're gone out of football. So you have to behave yourself from then on in for a while.
Well, I did, but I didn't like. I still give shit out. Do you know what I mean? It was only like I got caught again come 2011 or something. Do you know what I
mean? Only till you got caught. Go back then. Chester City, 2004, 2005, 24 appearances, 9 goals. League 2 is this, Kev?
Yeah, it was League 2 under obviously I signed for Mark Wright and when I signed, obviously I had Stephen Vaughan in charge. He was the chairman. I signed, and the day before the season, Mark Wright walks out. I don't know what's happened. There was stuff going on the season before, apparently, which I've never ever got to the bottom to. But he walks out the day before the start of the season. So I'm like, here's a manager just signed me. I could have gone X, Y, and Z. Refused 2 clubs, come here, thinking it's all going to be rosy on my doorstep. And manager walks out. Next thing, Ray Matthias comes in. We're in like, Ray Matthias was in the ground and no bullshit. Right, he walked out, must have been 10 o'clock. We're in before 11. Ray Matthias was in the ground. We used to say he was definitely waiting in the wardrobe somewhere. Because like, how can you be there that quick? Do you know what I mean?
And appointed,
Yeah, there was stuff happening. So he took over as a temporary manager, and then next thing, Rushy come.
Go on.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Like, obviously, me being a Liverpool fan as a kid, growing up, used to go, obviously, game, bunking at the Cop.
Well, when you say he played, he still played for Liverpool then, 2004, 2005, wasn't he? No, sorry, I'm miles away. Well, was he was totally retired, was he?
Yeah, I'm sure. I had 2 stints at Chester, 2000. Yeah, it was 2004, because the 2007 one was Bobby Williamson. So, next thing, Rushy comes in with Mark Hazelwood, and Rushy, as a manager, he didn't have a clue, mate, honest. But like, as like, he used to put sessions on for strikers and be part of it. He was unbelievable. As a person,
at that,
yeah, as a man manager, brilliant, boss with the lads, but just like just weren't cut for managing. Do you know when you get like, he's obviously got the job because he's from Chester, isn't he?
Yeah,
he got the job because he's obviously in Rush, do you know what I mean? But probably proves why he went on afterwards and never ever managed nowhere after that. But as a person, unbelievable, do you know what I mean? And like, Sessions used to do strikers and that, was boss for me because I was like a left midfield stroke forward. So for me, brilliant. And in the end, scored a few goals under him. Next thing, there was troubles with him and obviously monies and that, and said Hull City come in for me. So I didn't really want to move away then. Hull City was in League One at the time, which we were up near the top. I think it was January I signed there.
Right.
And I ended up going up to Hull then.
So half a season or a season with Chester, 3 different management teams, and then you've gone back up a division, League One, Hull, and then at the top again. Wikipedia says 71 appearances, 2 goals. Do you remember your 2 goals? Yeah, one of them. See, this is a game where I come across Peter Taylor. He was then Hull manager. Obviously, I went up to the KC, had a look around. The stadium was unbelievable. No one plays. They play rugby there and that, but I was like, yeah, I'll have a bit of this. It was a club on the up, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I went there and I think it was the 2nd or 3rd game in. We played Tranmere at Prenton Park. Obviously, I only live 10 minutes through the tunnel. Yeah. The shit you get there. I played for them further down the line, but the shit you get as a Scouser, I couldn't believe it, honest. It was the first time I played there properly with crowds and that, and the amount of shit you get for being a Scouser, and most of their better players have been Scousers in the past. Of course, yeah. And it's like, why are you like this? So I ended up scoring against them, and we beat them. It was like a top of the table clash at the time, and we won 3-1 or something. I scored. I played really well. John Achterberg in goal. He was like the Liverpool was the goalkeeping coach now. I ended up playing with John a couple of years down the line when I went to Tranmere, but I couldn't believe the shit they get there for being a Scouser. And you're like, mate, it was 5 minutes from me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and then my goal for them, my most important one was the year after when we got promoted that season. We played in the Championship, and I played I think I made like 26 starts then, but they were all right wing, like right midfield. Not forgetting, we had like Nick Barmby in the team then as well. So I played like 26 starts, I think I made in the Championship. And I'll never forget my goal for them was against Southampton at St Mary's in the new ground with Antti in goal. Yeah. Okay. And so we drew 1-1. I scored to equalise, and we were obviously like tipped for relegation and all that season because we'd just come up. But bearing in mind, we were getting 20,000, 21,000 week in, week out, League One. Went to Championship, getting 21,000. Or massive club, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Massive club. Big city, only 1 team, so yeah. Massive, but I think most of them, if you don't play football there, you play rugby, don't you? That's the way it is, do you know what I mean? If you give them something on a football pitch, something to get behind, obviously... Yeah, they'll be there for you, because for a year or 2, the crowds are brilliant. Then I'd left, but then they started falling down again. The crowd just dwindles again, do you know what I mean? Yeah. As you say, it's probably like you're saying with the Peps. It's like if you're on that up and crest of coming, you're doing well. People don't have to fight with the crowd. Yeah, you don't have to fight for the crowd. Come and watch you. Yeah. Yeah. So, but you left Hull and went to Tranmere then. That's an interesting move considering all the stick you got. But how did the move come about? To be fair, Peter Taylor was there, and he came in to me and said, like, Scunthorpe at the time offered 130,000 or something for me, and I was like, me missus had me lad then, colic and reflux. I moved it up to Hull with me. I'd leave to go to training. He'd be crying. I'd come back from training. She said, like, he hasn't stopped since you left. So she was getting upset then, and I was like, listen. After a few months, I was like, do us a favour, just go back home then. Obviously, someone around just to help you, your mum and whatever, family. I'm coming home, going to training, baby's crying, come home, colic and reflux. Do you know what I mean? So it was horrendous. So I said, just get yourself back home. I'll get home as much as I can. So then come the end of that season, there was a few offers from like Scunthorpe and that, offered me good monies, and I was like, Scunthorpe's like another 45 minutes on from Hull. I want to get more down to Northwest, you know what I mean? The M62, yeah. And then Ronnie Moore took over at Tranmere and gives us a call, and I ended up coming down, having a few chats, and ends up signing for Tranmere then.
So I was buzzing, thinking, oh yeah, back at home, playing local, 10, 15 minutes to training ground, sound, not a problem. Didn't go as well. We had a boss squad, again, like we were saying earlier, had a boss squad, boss like players, togetherness, but just all individuals. We should have done a lot better, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we never started too well. And I always remember we played at home against Yeovil, who had just been promoted into League One at the time. They come from non-league, League Two, straight up again. So we was obviously tipped as being all the lads we had to go and smash teams every week there, because we should have ran away with the league, which I think when you look at paper now and the squads have been in, we probably should have done a lot better than we did. But there was no team, do you know what I mean? It was all individuals. So I remember scoring at the cop end there, and we were getting stick all game, and I scored. So I went like that. Obviously, when we scored to the home fans, never ever lived it down ever since, do you know what I mean? But it was like, I weren't getting stick. It was other lads. Yeah. And if they're giving them stick, they're giving me stick. They're my teammates, you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, I'm part of that team. So if they're doing bad, I'm doing bad. Yeah. That's the way I seen it. It's like, you don't dig one person out, two people out. You dig us all out or no one.
Yeah.
And the shit they were getting, and it was like, and this is where I think I started getting some of my own like front to like have a go with crowds back and that, do you know what I mean? And I don't think that ever went down as well, because like there was a few games where I started getting a bit of shit, and then come the end of the season, we had Crew away, and I had another year left, and Ronnie Moore was like, Kev, going to give a few of the young lads a go, and we'll leave you out the squad. I was like, what? I said, I get you're going to give a few of the young lads like a game, because last game of the season, but you've brought me to Crew, you could have just left me at home. And he's like, no, this, and I was like, so I'll see you later. So I just went and sat in the stand, and from then I ended up like, had a conversation with him over the summer, and he told me basically Chester have come in. Chester, to be fair at the time, offered me a 3-year contract and all right monies. And I was like, yeah, go on, I'll take that then. See you later. And he's like, I don't want you to leave, you've still got a year left. I was like, Gaffer, you made yourself clear. It's like, you're going to give this a go, him a go, and you left me out. Like, I just want to play footy, do you know what I mean? If it means me dropping down a level, that's where I'll go.
You're telling me that story, but have you overreacted there off just one game, or was it a pattern?
I don't know. I think it was just a build-up of like the way the fans were getting on us and that, do you know what I mean? Because like, even I've gone back in the past, and the way they are with me, do you know what I mean? But I guess like I didn't help myself when I scored. But at the same time, it's like,
you can say
I'm on your doorstep, do you know what I mean? It's like, we used to get, it's like, even when you'd have a bad game beforehand, you're like, you Scouse cunt, you this, you that, and you're like, mate, if Liverpool won the European Cup, you're a Scouser. If someone robs someone, oh no, we're from the Wirral.
Yeah, if you're on holiday in Spain, the Scouts aren't.
I'm from Liverpool, do you know what I mean? But then, oh, well, they're from Liverpool, they robbed this, robbed that. Oh no, we're from the Wirral, we're a different part. Do you know what I mean? And I've always said it.
It seems like it's all changed now, talking of just sticking with Tranmere fans, because they absolutely love Elliot Nevitt.
Yeah, they love him, yeah. But that's what I'm saying, because I've been to watch a few games and I've seen him play, and he works his balls off, do you know what I mean? I think that's what's got him, and I think that's what all fans want to see, up and down the board. Surely you were doing that, that's your game. That's what I'm saying, but I think it's because we were all like signature signings at the time. Do you know what I mean?
More.
Yeah, he expected a lot more, which I'm fair play to him. They should have got a lot more out of us. But I'll say to this day, I don't think we was a team. We were a gang of individuals. Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't get you very far.
No, that's a shame. So we've got 5 minutes left of this particular thing, but I want to not finish in 5 minutes, if that's all right, because we've still got quite a long way to go. So I'm going to pause it again, Kev. Start a new one. Okay, but it's just still the same thing. I'll cut this chat out when it's finished. Are you still okay? You're okay to go till 3?
Yeah, Sam, yeah. Should be all right.
You're enjoying it?
Yeah, sound.
Right, pause again, plug a few things in, and I'll get it. What you'll need to do, mate, is log on again, but it's using this, it's the same log on thing. It's just me personal log on. Really.
Yeah, no worries, sound.
I'll do another meeting now, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Go on, I'll catch you in a minute.
Okay,
see you in a minute. Ta-ra.